Hi, this is Dr. Wilson. Uh, this week we're going to focus on learning about Excel and creating charts and graphs for ourselves, but also making plans for our students to create charts and graphs in the classroom. In just about every grade level, in 3 or 4 of the subject areas, there is a requirement for students to be able to read and create charts and graphs and analyze them. And social studies content and science content and math. And so we want to be able to practice this ourselves. You know, teachers are always doing data-driven decision making, and being able to make good charts and graphs facilitates that in a much stronger way. But also we want our students to be able to do that. So here's what we're going to start with. I've got a spreadsheet here. And really, I've done the hardest part already, and you're missing this. But I went to the National Center for Educational Statistics, which is a link in the course, and I have collected some data that I want to make a graph from. And this is something you're going to have to do. You will find data and create a chart, a graph out of that data. So this data I have already put in the spreadsheet. So I found a way. I put my labels in A, and in B and C is the data. So to create a chart or a graph, what I need to do first, or I'm going to make a graph out of it, is I'm going to highlight the sections that has the information in it. Now, I'll tell you what, I'm doing this on a Mac, and so it's going to look kind of different. If you are doing this on a PC, you ought to have a ribbon up here, and on the ribbon you can choose that you want to insert a chart or graph. Here I'm going to have to go say I'm going to do insert chart. And at this point, I get some of the same options that perhaps you do. I'm going to make a bar chart. I do want to take a couple of minutes here to remind you of a few things. The bar charts are best when comparing different amounts of data. A line graph is most appropriate when you're showing change over time. And a circle graph is most appropriate when you are showing parts of a whole, you know, budgets, school ethnicities, etc. So here I'm clearly going to have to do a bar chart. And this time I think I'll have it go left and right instead of up and down. So I click on it and I can immediately see my chart. Now, on here, you can make some different selections about what's the most appropriate kind of chart. And what am I missing? Notice that it's automatically got the label set up for me. If I click on a color, I can change the color if I want to make it, and it automatically changes it, you know, on all of the bars. So you can do some editing and tweaking. I can click over here and I can change my font to be something that maybe is easier to read or whatever. So I can choose something and it changes it for all of them. What you might notice is at this point in time, I don't have a title, and so we need titles. I also don't have, I've got labels here, so I just need to create a title. So what I need to do is I need to come over here, and actually on the Mac, over here in this far right hand side, this is where I can put my chart title. Now, for you all on a PC, there's a bar up in this general area where you can pick options for where the title and the labels go, and you kind of have to scroll through and choose one that has a title and has the labels for the X and Y axis. So I'm going to go ahead, mine's over here in this panel, so I'm going to say this is, now I think it's best if your title of your graph is in the form of a question, and then the data answers that question, right? So here I'm going to say, where And how do teachers use technology? And then if I want to do something with the grid lines, I've got that option here, you'll see, and I can choose to put label values at the end if that's helpful. You know, sometimes it's hard to delineate if everything's really close together. You can choose whether to show the axis labels or not. Of course, it won't mean anything if we don't. And so we want to be sure and do that. And since I added my value to the bottom, I don't necessarily need the horizontal axis. You can choose about grid lines. There's all kinds of things in here that you can do. And you can make choices about that. Once I've got a graph and I think, okay, this is telling me teachers mostly create instructional materials at home, probably because it takes so long, more at home than at school, and that's what they do mostly at home. Occasionally they'll do multimedia, but probably they just don't do multimedia very often. Anyway, here's my graph. So I'm going to copy my graph, and I did that by clicking on the edge of it and then, Control C, copy. Then for your assignment, what you'll do is you'll go in and create a one slide PowerPoint. And so now I'm going to paste my graph onto this one slide. And here you can do some other kind of editing options. I could change my color still. So see, it's still a little bit interactive with my Excel document. But I really liked what I had. Let's see if I can go back. There we are. I'm going to go ahead and change the background color of my slide a little bit so that my colors stand out some. And actually, let's say I change it to black. Then I've got to come in here and I've got to make my text now white. And I can make it a little bigger. Anyway, the idea here is for you to create something that we can all read and see that's got good data on it. And then you will take, and let's see, I'm sorry, let me get rid of these lines here. I may have to move this over to grab that. This needs to be white too. And this can even come over some. And the other thing you'll notice is, so you just play with it till it looks good. At the very bottom of the graph, what I do want for you to do is to put, at the very bottom of the slide, the reference where this data came from so that we can reference it if we have questions about the data. So down here at the bottom, you'll do insert, and you'll do a text box, and you'll put your citation here. And again, since I've chosen a black background, that I need to make my white text, and then I'll put so the first part of your assignment is you create a graph here. And I don't really like the way this turned out, so I'll have to fix it. But anyway, you'll create a graph, save the single slide PowerPoint, upload this into the discussion board so we can do kind of a gallery walk in the discussion board area and look at each other's graphs and see if we can do some analyzing of that. The next thing that you'll do is you will use the, and then you won't have to really save this anymore, so don't save. You will use your HBU lesson plan that will be found in your Blackboard site, and you're going to think about a way that you can have students collect data that goes along with your unit that you've planned. Now, it can be a little challenging, so let me just talk to you about this really quick. So in this unit, you're going to maybe have them, I don't know, maybe it's on the butterfly cycle or life cycle or whatever. Well, then you're going to have students somehow collect data that relates to that topic. So maybe you would have them, you know, chart the number of days that the butterfly or the caterpillar spends at each stage, you know, the chrysalis, and then, you know, how much time is a caterpillar. I don't know. Maybe you'll have them spend, each of them has different little caterpillars that go into chrysalis. Maybe you'll chart it, maybe they don't all stay the same number of days, so you're comparing the number of days. Maybe instead you've got some other unit, and they could survey students about likes and dislikes at their school and make a chart out of that if some of that relates to your topic. They could get data from the internet that relates to the topic, distance of planets from Earth, and graph that kind of data. So whatever it is, you're going to write a lesson plan, put together a lesson plan. This is our HBU lesson plan format, where you have to think about now, what is my unit, what's the grade topic, what's the focusing event, so that you've got to have something, some kind of something to get them interested in this. Perhaps you want to show them some graphs and charts about, you know, that relate to your topic. Then you type in teaching and learning procedures. What would you have students do step by step in order to create this chart or graph with whatever kind of data they have? So it could be from creating the survey to making the graph. If you are teaching little bitties, perhaps the graph becomes a one computer classroom kind of activity. So students, you know, help the teacher create a graph on the computer. But maybe they've drawn the graph already and shaded in bars on their papers, and so now they're just all working to see what it looks like on the computer. So think through this. This is our lesson plan, and at the very end, how would you assess this? Maybe you would ask them questions about the data and have them really begin to analyze that kind of thing. And then the modifications are for, you know, what do you do for students with a variety of needs, both gifted and those that struggle. So this lesson plan, along with the PowerPoint slide, both get uploaded in the assignment section for this class. Just the PowerPoint gets loaded into the discussion board so we can do a gallery walk and look at each other's graphs on some interesting education-related data. I hope this has been helpful. You all have a great day, and I'll see you on the boards, okay? Thank you so much. Oh.